Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Fitzmonk TV here, aka G33. I want to welcome you guys back here to the Legit Shoot podcast, here with a SmackDown review for October 23rd, 2020. I don't do many SmackDown reviews, and it's not because I don't want to, right? SmackDown is actually, and it just mind boggles me. SmackDown is ran so much better than Raw. Like, just I'm not talking about like from a roster standpoint, because Raw has way more talent than SmackDown, and that's because Raw's a 3 hour show. But the way SmackDown is presented, the storylines, the feel of the show, it feels so much more important than Monday Night Raw, and it boggles my mind. I don't understand it. How Raw every single week is just pure garbage. There's almost nothing positive to come out. And when I do the reviews, I'm just negative for a whole hour. But with SmackDown, there's at least two, three, sometimes four good things that come out of the show. And then, I actually have those things on my mind. I'm not able to do SmackDown reviews because I'm busy on Friday nights, but you guys have been telling me you guys want SmackDown reviews. So if you guys do support these SmackDown reviews that go up on Saturday evenings, right, then I'm going to keep doing them every single week. But if you guys aren't hitting that like button and if you guys aren't showing support, then just going to tell me that you guys don't want to see it, right? And I just won't do them. But either way, this is your official SmackDown review. And I got to say, SmackDown, that was one of their best shows of the year. It was one of their best shows of the year, and there wasn't many bad things coming out of it. We have Sasha and Bayley. They should definitely be the main event of Hell in a Cell. Their build has been spectacular, and if this is a one and done, we don't know what's gonna happen with Sasha and Bayley at Hell in a Cell. It's most likely that Sasha will win the title. Everything is pointing to that happening, but if they choose to go the Bayley route, they can get the storyline all the way to WrestleMania. But I would have Sasha win, and if Sasha does win and they end the story there with Sasha and Bayley, right? Clearly the direction would be Sasha versus Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. But there's many different links that they can go down with this, and I love it. I really do love it. Also, with what they're doing with Roman Reigns and Jey Uso tonight, they got Jimmy Uso involved. Also, Roman, unveiled the consequences for if Jey Uso loses at Hell in a Cell, and that was also a really well done segment. So all together, Sasha and Bayley and Roman and Jey Uso, those two feuds alone made this a good show. What they're doing with those storylines, man, outside of what AEW did this week with that amazing steak dinner between Chris Jericho and MJF, those are the best storylines probably in all professional wrestling, right? Monday Night Raw has nothing going for them right now. They're not doing anything with Asuka. They're not really doing anything with the Hurt Business. They're bearing retribution. I like what they're doing with Alexa Bliss and the Fiend, but who knows how much longer they can keep that hot streak going. And Roman Reigns and or not Roman Reigns, Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. I love both men, but I'm just tired of their feud at this point. SmackDown just feels like more freshness, coming out of all these things. So we're gonna talk about all that tonight, or right here on the podcast, and definitely, it's gonna be a good time. We'll try to keep this short because I know everyone got busy things to do. I got things to do, so definitely we won't be here so too long. But make sure you guys, if you guys are not subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button right next to my name, Fitzmonk TV, and hit that bell so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. Also, the Hell in a Cell preview and prediction show that is live on the channel. If you guys haven't, checked it out yet, go make sure to watch it. We talked about everything that's in store for Hell in a Cell. Right now, as of this video, there's only been 5 announced matches. All right, 5. Will there be more? I could definitely see WWE going down that route and announcing maybe one more. But the way the card looks, I would keep it the way it is. Maybe just add one more match, because you look at it, you have 3 Hell in a Cell matches. I expect most of those matches to be at least 20 minutes, right? I could see Sasha and Bayley and Roman and Jay each going closer to 25 to 30 minutes just because of the story with those two matches. But those matches are going to take up a good part of the show, right? And then you have Jeff Hardy versus Elias, which I don't expect to be a very long match, maybe around 10 minutes. And you also have Otis versus The Miz, which, depending on what they do with the story, that could be another 10 minutes. And I think they'll probably add maybe one more match, but we'll just have to wait and see. But this show is dominated by SmackDown. Hell in a Cell is going to be dominated by SmackDown matches, which I don't mind at all because SmackDown has been great, these last couple weeks, and I like what they're doing, the direction they're taking. It's kind of reminding me a little bit of 2016 SmackDown when we first had the draft. Everybody was sleeping on SmackDown coming out of the draft, and nobody knew, where it was going to go with Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon in charge. That first year and a half of SmackDown Live on Tuesday nights was absolutely fantastic. It was way better than anything Raw was doing, right? And I'm hoping they can get back to that because SmackDown has all the talent in the world, and at least with the direction we've been getting the last couple of weeks, it's been great. And hopefully they can continue with that going forward. But it will be interesting. We'll just have to wait and see. But Hell in a Cell, depending on when you guys are watching this, is this Sunday. Make sure you guys join me. We will be doing a live watch along of Hell in a Cell. So Sunday night, when the show goes on the air, I will be live on the channel. You guys can come and join me. My live reaction streams are pretty crazy. I'll have some friends with Discord on me, so it's gonna be a fun time. Especially if you guys were here for when I did Sasha versus Oscar from Extreme Rules. That was one of my best live reactions ever. So imagine how good it's gonna be for Sasha and Bayley. I cannot wait to see what happens there. Plus, I'm actually excited for Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. I think that's going to be spectacular as well. And right after Hell in a Cell goes off the air, right here on the podcast, we will be having our live review of the whole Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. All right, so, and if Sasha wins, it's going to be a celebration. I cannot wait. But either way, that's just the usual stuff, the things we need to get into before. Let's actually get into SmackDown tonight, because like I said, I don't want to make these SmackDown reviews super long. But let's start. We had the KO show. The KO show that started SmackDown tonight. We had Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens talked about how he was excited, and he was excited to be on SmackDown. How there was people he wanted to face, new rivalries he wanted to start, and how he really wanted to start getting after championships. So he introduced his guest, and this was Daniel Bryan. If you guys remember, Daniel Bryan and Kevin Owens have a good amount of history. Remember when Daniel Bryan finally made his return to WWE a couple years ago? I believe it was WrestleMania 34 in New Orleans, if I'm right. I think it was WrestleMania 34. It was like Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan versus KO and Sami Zayn, who were heels at the time. And I remember if KO and Sami Zayn lost that match, they would be banned from SmackDown. So they've had history. They've had some really good matches in the past. So they joked about their history a little bit here. So I kind of liked how they talked about that. They talked about how they look forward to facing each other again in the future, and KO asked Bryan what he wants to see on SmackDown. You guys know, or you guys should know, that Daniel Bryan, he is on the creative team for SmackDown. Him and Edge, two legends. Edge is helping with Raw creative. Daniel Bryan's been helping with SmackDown creative. That's why the last couple of months you've seen teams like the Lucha House Party and some of these other guys get more opportunities and more shine, which I like. Daniel Bryan's looking out for the next generation. But Bryan continued that stance. He talked about wanting to see the best young talent showcased on the show. Talked about KO and Bianca Belaire and Aleister Black and all these new names, right? And like I said, Daniel Bryan, now there's so many new rivalries you can do with him. I would love to see Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns, especially with Roman as the heel now, as this tribal chief. That would be great. Daniel Bryan versus Seth Rollins, right? Daniel Bryan versus Aleister Black. There's some really good feuds that you can do. Daniel Bryan versus Sami Zayn, you can continue that. They had a really good match at WrestleMania. So, but they were talking about the young talent, and then KO talked about how now that he's back on SmackDown, he really wants to go after titles that he's never won, and one of those titles is the tag team titles. Throughout all his time, he's been on the main roster. He's won Universal titles, he's won United States and Intercontinental, but he's never won a tag team championship. And Bryan joked how, you've betrayed a lot of partners, which is true. KO's had partners like Chris Jericho and, Sami Zayn, right? The New Day. Remember when he was in the New Day for a couple weeks? So KO has not had the best history with partners. But KO said that this was a new day for him, right? SmackDown was a new chance for a fresh start, and KO talked about how he actually wanted Daniel Bryan to be his tag team partner, and then KO came up with a joke saying the team would be called Team Hell KO, and Bryan said that wouldn't make sense because the Hell part came from when he was with Kane, so but before they could talk any further, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode came out. They were just talking trash, saying how they felt disrespected that KO didn't invite them to the KO show because they said, "Oh, they're the best draft picks, in SmackDown history." Yada yada yada. We all know that's not true. Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler are just two losers on SmackDown, sadly. But then the Street Profits joined the party, and then Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura joined as well. So this is basically your SmackDown Tag Team division. All right, these three teams, unless KO and Daniel Bryan become a team going forward, which I don't know, because I kind of want to see KO go after Sami Zayn or Roman Reigns, something like that. But I'm not against KO and Daniel Bryan becoming a team. It's just that I just don't see it happening going forward. I don't think so. But anything's possible. This is WWE we were talking about. They always do random tag teams. But either way, we had a huge brawl to open the show, and then this led to commercial. And then we came out. We had an 8-man tag team match. So Bryan was wearing his ring gear under his outfit, and KO just wrestled in a like a tie and the jeans he was wearing. So I don't know if KO just didn't know he was gonna be wrestling tonight or what, but it was kind of funny to see KO wrestling in jeans. But either way, this 8-man tag wasn't anything special. Yes, these men are all very good in the ring. There were some cool spots, but it was whatever. Bryan landed hard on his right near the end, and then he was getting attacked by the heels. Then he made the hot tag to Montez Ford, and of course, you guys know how these 8-man tag team matches go. Every man gets their move in, they gets their chance to shine, and then until there's only two people left in the ring, Montez Ford hit a splash, and that got the win for his team. So the baby faces look strong here. And yeah, after we came back from break, the Street Profits, and Bryan and KO were celebrating backstage, where Sami Zayn confronted Daniel Bryan, and he was like, "Oh, I don't share your vision for SmackDown," because Daniel Bryan was talking about how he wants to see the IC title be defended every single week. Kind of like what Cody Rhodes is doing with the TNT Championship on AEW, what John Cena did back in the day with the US title, so they want to make the IC title that working man's title once again. And I agree with that. I completely agree with that. The mid card titles are supposed to be the workhorse titles. And it's been a long time since we've had a championship feel like that. Yeah, Sami Zayn's great in the ring. I'm not disrespecting him at all, and he's a heel at the end of the day. But when was the last time we had a mid card champion that actually had that workhorse mentality? Maybe AJ Styles when he was the U.S. champion. They tried with Apollo Crews for a couple weeks, and then they put him with the hurt. They had him feud with the hurt business for the rest of the summer, and that just died. So I would love to see the IC title become that workhorse title. It would be great for SmackDown. It would elevate so many young talent. You know, seeing like Aleister Black, KO, Sami Zayn, Daniel Bryan, like Chad Gable. Right now that he's finally getting rid of that Shorty G gimmick. Maybe even Lars Sullivan. Out, all these names, Rey Mysterio, Dominic, all these names you have on SmackDown, you could have a really, really nice mid card division, really nice mid card division. And if you're doing like IC Open challenges every single week, that's gonna make SmackDown look better, right? They're gonna tune in to see these great matches just to see the IC title get defended, and see, oh, could we see a new champion tonight? Things like that. It would be great. I hope Daniel Bryan's pushing for that backstage, because if they can actually make that a reality, it's gonna make SmackDown look so much better in the long run. So hopefully, WWE actually is able to pull that off, because I would love to see the IC title be defended every single week. I feel like that would be great for the show. Next up, we had the next couple segments were more just featuring some of the young prospects that were drafted. We had Bianca Belair versus Selena Vega. There is a lot of hype around Bianca Belair, and you guys know I love her a lot. She's one of my favorites. She's right up there with Asuka, behind Sasha Banks. But Bianca Belair, I'm happy she's on SmackDown. It looks like they are taking her seriously. You know, she should have been taken seriously from the jump because remember, she was not used on Monday Night Raw. She had, I think, less than 5 matches the entire year before she got drafted to SmackDown on the main roster. So I'm very happy that Bianca is on SmackDown. They're treating her like a big star. Like everywhere you see people like Daniel Bryan, people like uh, Corey Graves and Sasha Banks, they're all raving about how they're excited to see Bianca on SmackDown because she has the chance to be the next big star in the women's division. We talk about how Sasha, Bayley, Asuka, Charlotte, and Becky, they're the big names, right? And they'll always will be the cream of the crop. Bianca has the chance, and there's no reason why she shouldn't be in that name by the end of the year. She has all the tools necessary to be a huge star in the women's division. And if WWE doesn't make her into that big star, they would be failing her. They would be failing her. She is that good in the ring. So we got Bianca Belair. She had a match with Zelina Vega. You know, I like Zelina Vega. I'm happy she's in the singles run. I don't want her to be, looked at as a jobber though. Remember, it was just a couple weeks ago where she was challenging for the Raw Women's Championship. I think you can build Zelina Vega to be one of the top heels in SmackDown Women's Division. She is not bad in the ring. I don't know why people think she is. She's really good, actually. Really good. She's just small for her size, but being small has its advantages, right? And she has pretty good chemistry with Bianca Belair. Zelina did get a couple spots in, but this was a Bianca Belair showcase, and Bianca won the match pretty easily. She did a really good standing moonsault. Uh, she hit Vega with a huge right hand. Then she legit deadlifted Vega off the map, showing her strength. And then she hit the KOD. And Zelina actually knows how to sell DKOD really well. So it's good to see Bianca being used. She have her rack up momentum, right? Because she's gonna be that third person behind Bayley and Sasha in the women's division on SmackDown. We don't know what's gonna happen. Sasha should win the title, and if Sasha wins the title, the match you should probably build towards for WrestleMania should be Sasha versus Bianca for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And I don't want to see Sasha lose the title at WrestleMania. I would do something like maybe Sasha does defeat Bianca at WrestleMania, like babyface versus babyface, and then maybe Bianca turns heel like the week after WrestleMania, and that continues the Sasha and Bianca feud going into the springtime, right? Because Sasha needs to have a long title reign. That's the way I look at it. All right, but that's what I would do. But if Bayley wins and they plan to drag this out, JD mentioned something really good on his podcast. JD said, if Bayley wins, maybe Bayley puts something like in the contract saying like, oh, if she won the Hell in a Cell match, Sasha does not get another SmackDown Women's Championship match as long as Bayley's champion. So that would basically keep the feud going, but also give it a break, and that would help get Sasha to Bayley to WrestleMania. So maybe Sasha would have to win the Women's Royal Rumble, and that would be the only way she could get another match with Bayley. Because we've seen Bayley talk about how she wants to be done with Sasha, right? So if they're delaying a Sasha and Bayley feud, you can have Bianca challenge Bayley in the meantime. Have a 2 month pay-per-view feud with Bayley. Have a couple matches. Help build Bianca up and make people who didn't watch her in NXT see how great she actually is. That's something I would do personally. All right, but either way, no matter what, no matter if Bayley or Sasha wins in Hell in a Cell, Bianca's going to be, definitely right up there when it comes to challengers, right? Even though I want to see Zelina Vega also be up there as well, because Zelina's actually a really good heel. I could definitely see probably next week we get like something like Bianca versus Billy Kay. 'Cause I know Billy Kay's on SmackDown, and maybe the week after that we get Bianca versus, I don't know, Tamina or whatever. And then maybe they do a feud like with Bianca versus Carmella, right? I know Carmella's a heel, Bianca's a babyface. You need things to keep Bianca, busy before you have her go for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Sasha versus Bianca is not a match that you're gonna give at a B level pay per view. That is WrestleMania worthy. right? And especially to have two black female stars in a big name women's division match at WrestleMania. You know how big that would be for the company and for women's history in general. There's no reason why Sasha versus Bianca shouldn't happen at WrestleMania unless they're keeping Bayley in the picture. Because at the end of the day, if Bayley does deserve to have a big time match at Mania, see the way she's reinventing herself, Bayley doesn't deserve to be in a women's battle royal. No. Maybe they have like a legend come back to face Bayley. Maybe like I don't know, maybe like a Lita or something. But either way, it's just gonna be interesting. But I'm happy Bianca's being used, and definitely she's gonna be built up for that SmackDown Women's Championship, right? If Sasha doesn't win the Women's Royal Rumble, I would have Bianca be the one to win the Women's Royal Rumble. You can also have I'm also thinking like when Sonya Deville comes back, you can have Sonya on SmackDown. Have Bianca versus Sonya. There's like WWE has potential to have a really strong SmackDown Women's division, really strong, and Bianca's going to be one of those pillars going forward. She's the next big star in the women's division. And let's just hope WWE treats her like it because she deserves it. She is the EST of WWE, as she calls herself. So really good to see Bianca finally getting shine and being built up. Next up, we had Chad Gable versus Lara Sullivan. Not much to talk about here. Caleb Braxton interviewed Chad Gable before the match. He said up he was not happy with not getting drafted, and he decided to call the big man to try to get back on the right track. So basically, the match didn't last long. He tried to hit a crossbody from the middle rope right away. Sullivan caught him, threw him across the ring, and hit him with clotheslines, and just basically beat Gable's ass. Sullivan sent him in the corner and flying across the ring with a throw, and then Lars got the easy pinfall victory. This was only about 2-3 minutes, right? Nothing special. Like I said, I've heard rumors that they are planning on changing Lars Sullivan's ring name. All right, I don't really care because at the end of the day, nobody backstage cares about Lars Sullivan. The only people that care about Lars Sullivan is creative, but there's nothing special about him. I don't like WWE big men because they're all booked the same. Whenever a big man comes in, right, they make them look dominant for months and months and months. They put them in 1-on-3 handicap matches, right? They put them in these battle royals. They put them in all these useless matches to try to build them up. And when it comes time to actually put them in a big name program, they flop. They flop, right? I don't think Lars Sullivan is gonna erupt to anything. He's just, they're calling him the freak, right? I don't see anything special about him. Yes, if you watch in NXT, he has talent, but what's he gonna do on the main roster? How many weeks are you gonna have Lars Sullivan just bury people, bury jobbers, and when you're gonna actually put him in a feud, right? You want to do something? Maybe do like Lars Sullivan versus KO. That could be a little side feud. At least it will give KO and Lars something to do, right? And then it'll make KO, as we know how great KO is. KO will do everything in his power to make Lars Sullivan look like a star. I hate WWE when they go the whole jobber mentality because they just do it to death to the point where you just don't care about it anymore, right? So we'll see where WWE goes here with Lars Sullivan, but I'm not gonna be surprised. I expect Lars Sullivan to be booked like this for the rest of the year, just going after jobber after jobber after jobber. Put Lars in a major program, then we can actually see if he's gonna be something special. Because then we can see how his character develops. We can see how he is on the mic. When WWE just goes, "Oh, I'm that big bad man," and you just destroy people every single week, and you have Michael Cole just saying, "Oh, he's the freak. He's one of the biggest monsters we've ever had in WWE history." Like it's just nonsense. It's just like who cares? Who gives a crap? Actually, give me a reason to care about Lars Sullivan. Show me why he's one of the most dangerous men in WWE history. Give him a storyline. You know what I mean? So that's my problem with that. Nothing special here with Lars Sullivan. He beats Chad Gable. But Chad Gable, though, after the match, Kayla interviewed him again, and he said that he quit, right? And then we were like, what is Chad Gable's contract expired? Is he finally leaving? Because I can see Chad Gable easily going to AEW and being featured, on AEW Dark, and just being a really good performer over there. But that was not the thing. So they went backstage to the trainer's office, and Adam Pierce, wanted to see if Chad Gable was being serious. Basically, what Gable did say is he didn't quit WWE, but he quit being Shorty G. He said, well, I'm tired of being a character that's just a bunch of nonsense, right? He took off his sleeves and all this, and I'm happy. The Shorty G gimmick was terrible. I said this for months. The guy was wearing basketball shorts. When KO wears, shorts, and it works for his character. But Gable looked like a fool. He looked like that guy in, if you guys play NBA 2K, that guy that plays, that's like a 90 overall, but spends all their VC at Swags with all these ridiculous accessories. That's how Chad Gable looked like. And yeah, I like Chad Gable. I feel like he could be a really big star in the mid card division. There's so many good matches you can do with him, but WWE's never, done right by him. The best Chad Gable ever did was when he was in American Alpha, and the short time he was with, I think it was Bobby Roode, a couple years back. Those he has some really good tag team runs. Other than that, he's been garbage. He hasn't been booked correctly. So Chad Gable talked about how I'm not Shorty G no more. He actually said my name's Chad Gable, the Olympian. So it looks like he's getting a nice little gimmick change. I don't know if they're gonna try to make this like a Kurt Angle 2.0, because the way he looked, the way he was talking, it reminded me a lot of Kurt Angle from the Attitude Era. But it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting, But the thing about it is, you could change Chad Gable's gimmick, and yes, anything is better than that Shorty G gimmick. And I am intrigued to see what they do here with Chad Gable, the Olympian. But if you do not book him correctly, if he's still the same old jobber, it's not gonna mean shit. It's not gonna mean shit. Is Chad Gable actually gonna win matches? Is he actually gonna be put in the storylines that we care about? Are you actually gonna make him look bigger, you like a star in that mid card division? Because he's really talented. It'll be interesting to see. But Chad Gable, the Olympian, looks like that is coming to SmackDown soon, and that would be interesting to see. Very interesting to see. All right. We had after this, we had probably the best thing on the show tonight, right? Or one of the best things on the show. We had Sasha Banks getting her signature from BAYLEY. And I said this last week. I said this last week. I didn't have to do a separate reaction video since we're talking about it here on the SmackDown review now. The Sasha and BAYLEY stuff tonight was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Last week, the match was already made official. All right, they've been advertising it. We knew we were gonna get Sasha and BAYLEY, but per storyline, BAYLEY never signed the contract. She never signed the contract for the Hell in a Cell match, and BAYLEY came out, and I talked about this last week. I brought up the example, if you guys remember, when Alberto Del Rio refused to give CM Punk a WWE Championship match at Survivor Series back in 2011. CM Punk legit sat in the ring, put Del Rio in the Anaconda Vice, and said, "I'm going to keep you in this hold until you give me the match." And then Del Rio, eventually conceded and said, "All right, you have your match." Told you guys last week that they were going to do the same thing here with Sasha, and that's what we did. This was awesome. This was awesome. This was a pretty short segment. It was only about 5-6 minutes, right? But it got to the point very quickly. And I've been telling you guys for weeks, badass Sasha babyface. She needs to be a badass babyface. You don't need to change her character the way you did for Becky Lynch. She doesn't need that. But the way she was booked tonight is the way she needs to be booked going forward. The last couple of weeks, actually like the last month, has been great. From her promos to at the performance center to her promos on Talking Smack, right? Her intensity when she attacked BAYLEY at Clash of Champions, and when she BAYLEY got herself disqualified in their women's championship match a couple weeks ago during the WWE draft. Sasha's babyface intensity has been amazing. All right, I will say one thing though. One thing, BAYLEY dominated the first part of this feud. She did. The first couple weeks was all BAYLEY with the chair shots and the promos, but Sasha has had all the momentum about the last month. I would not be lying if I didn't say that word me just a little bit. She has all the momentum from the attacker Clash of Champions to Bayley running from her. They're making Bayley look like she's actually scared of Sasha, and it makes sense because Bayley, she knows, and we all know that Sasha's the biggest threat to her championship. She always was. No matter if it was against Naomi or Lacey Evans or Carmella, you guys have heard me say this before. No matter who Bayley faced in the past, we all knew that Sasha was always going to be the biggest threat. And now we're getting this, and you can see Bayley's just doing everything to run from Sasha. She won't be able to run this Sunday at Hell in a Cell, right? And Sasha's intensity, they need to keep this with her going forward, right? No matter if Sasha wins the title, which I expect her to, but if she doesn't, and they're delaying the Sasha's title victory for WrestleMania or something like that, they have to keep her like this. This reminds me a lot of 2016 Sasha. The only problem is they were having her lose to Charlotte over and over again. But they have to keep this intensity going forward. This is going to make Sasha the biggest star in the women's division. Plus, she's going to be on The Mandalorian next week. Next Friday, actually. Before SmackDown, The Mandalorian will be out. And I will have a reaction live on the channel for that because I'm so excited to see that. You know? So, Sasha, that's just another reason why I believe Sasha's going to be winning. All these people that are going to be watching the Mandalorian Season 2 debut, and if Sasha's in Episode 1, they're going to see her, and then they're going to be like, oh, that's WWE Star, or who is that? And then they're going to tune into SmackDown to actually see Sasha. And then if they see Sasha with the women's title belt, it's going to make Sasha look like that much bigger star. WWE has so much momentum right now with Sasha Banks, they have to capitalize on it. Bayley's been a great champion, but it's Sasha's time. It's Sasha's time. Other than a Bayley versus Bianca feud, there's nobody else on SmackDown that you want to see Bayley face. So this is Sasha's time to carry the women's division and take the torch from Bayley and finally get that long title run she's been deserving of for so many years. All right, but getting to the segment itself, Bayley sat in the ring and said she is annoyed that she even has to address why she didn't sign the Hell in a Cell contract last week to face Sasha. She ranted a little bit. I would have had Bayley, kind of went into more detail, about her relationship with Sasha because Sasha's been just dropping pipe bomb after pipe bomb. My name is greater than your title, right? You don't get the interviews, you don't get the magazine covers, you don't get any of that without me being by your side, Bayley. Sasha's been just dropping pipe bomb after pipe bomb. I would have Bayley go into detail, talk about, how Sasha eliminated her in the Royal Rumble match, right? How at Elimination Chamber when Sasha threw Bayley off the cell or no off the chamber, or off the pot of the chamber. I get my words mixed up, but you guys know what I'm talking about. All these instances where Sasha has been very questionable in her friendship to Bayley. And Bayley talking about why she never truly trusted Sasha or never had 100% faith in her. All right. I would have Bayley go into detail on this. But still, Bayley was fine here. I just wish they went a little more in depth because there's so much that they can cover with this story. But then Sasha came out. One thing I love is Sasha's outfits every single week, man. These outfits she wears. She rarely wears, regular merch. But she has these fly outfits, these like tracksuits. And she just looks like a badass all the time. So Sasha comes out and she had the contract, right? She had the contract from last week. And she got in the ring and she told Bayley, sign it. You're going to sign this thing right now. And Bayley, said no. She took the chair and she tried to hit Sasha with it. Biggs ducked it and Bayley dropped the belt. So Sasha picked it up. I love that image of Sasha with the belt. And Sasha was looking at the belt and she was like, you want your title back? Sign the contract. And then Bayley was like, okay, just give me the title back. Sasha signed the contract first. So it looked like Bayley was gonna take the contract, but instead she took the title. But Sasha and Bayley, they had like a little tug of rope, my bad. And then Sasha hit Bayley with one of the most devastating knees I've ever heard. I know Sasha and Bayley, they're best friends in real life and they trust each other, but that knee looked devastating, bro. Devastating. If you look at WWE's Instagram page, they post on their story the sound of Sasha's knee when it hit, and man, imagine being in the crowd and hearing that. Oh my gosh, crazy. So basically, Then Sasha took the chair. She put on Bayley's neck, almost the same way Bayley did that started this feud. And Sasha's like, sign the contract. And then Bayley was like, still no. Bayley tried fighting back a little bit. But then Sasha eventually got Bayley to sign the contract while holding her in the bank statement, with some help from the chair, using the chair as leverage. It looked brutal. Brutal. I wouldn't be surprised. Sasha might win the title this Sunday by doing that same move. But it looked devastating. Sasha's yelling, side it. And Bayley finally had no choice but to side it to get herself free from the chair, right? So afterwards, Sasha took the title, posed with it, went in Bayley's face. I loved it. She grabbed Bayley by the hair and said, "This Sunday, I'm taking your title. You started this, and I'm going to finish it." I love this. Badass babyface Sasha. I predicted this last week, and I love being proven right. Badass babyface Sasha. Sasha has to win this Sunday. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. No, nothing. Unless they go down the route where, they keep Sasha and Bayley away from one another. But I think Sasha's winning. She has all the momentum. All of it. So I loved it. It was a short segment, but it was fantastic. It did its job. All right. Uh anyway. And it's crazy to me how easy Sasha's fallen back into that babyface role. That badass role, bro. But anyway. We had Law and Otis. This was actually really good as well. So Law and Otis here. This was basically the court hearing for Otis's Money in the Bank contract between Otis and the Miz. So Miz and Morrison back on SmackDown. I didn't mind this just because they still need to wrap up this storyline before these two are separated for good and they go their separate ways. But basically this was great. I love this. They had Ron Simmons acting as the bailiff, and JBL was the judge. So the Miz talked over his own lawyer, and Otis was representing himself. So basically, Miz went on some little tirade, talking about why, Otis caused him all this stress and emotional support, all this stuff. But then Otis, his only argument, he had like one or two sentences. He said, "Oh, the reason why I deserve the Money in the Bank contract is because I won it," and that was it. And that's all the argument he needed to make. He won the contract fair and clean, right? He won the contract at Money in the Bank back in May, and it made perfect sense. And Miz actually fired his lawyer because the lawyer said that's a good argument. So basically, Miz was representing himself and Morrison by his side. So then the second segment had Rey Mysterio talking about how everybody in that match battled hard and Otis came off on top, and he deserves to be Money in the Bank no matter what. Tucker talked about, all the stress that Miz has caused Otis, sending his girlfriend Mandy to Monday Night Raw, and how now Tucker had been broken up from his best friend thanks to the Miz. But either way, even though Heavy Machinery is on two separate brands, they keep having Tucker and Otis meet up in these weird ways, which I don't really like because, it breaks the rules and insults our intelligence of what the WWE draft is supposed to do. The draft is supposed to build exclusive rosters. These rosters don't look exclusive to me. But anyway, that was that. Ting Long had a quick cameo as the court reporter. Asuka, holla, 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 doing her own little Teddy Long impersonation. She was speaking in Japanese and no one could understand what she said. But remember, Asuka did win the Money in the Bank contract in the women's match the same night Otis won it for the men. So I didn't mind that at all. I'm willing to bet that Asuka was probably saying stuff in Japan like how Otis fought just as hard as she did to win hers, so he deserves to be a champion or Mr. Money in the Bank. But I loved Asuka here, man. She's so good in the comedy role. Really good. Love Asuka. So then JBL returned after the break to give his verdict. This was a very entertaining segment, man. Very entertaining. You can do entertainment correctly, and this is one of those ways. So I enjoy this. So JBL comes back. He said that Otis had done nothing wrong, and he was about to ruin his favor because basically, all this stuff that Miz was complaining about, this is what WWE is about. And JBL was like, Miz should know this, being a 15-year veteran, right? So he was about to ruin his favor, but Miz said he had one last piece of evidence, and it was a briefcase filled with money. And JBL being a money guy, he could not turn that down. So he looked at it and immediately ruled in Miz's favor. So basically, at Hell in a Cell, Otis will battle the Miz for the Money in the Bank contract. I expect Otis to win. There's no reason why Miz will win. Why would he win? He didn't win the Money in the Bank contract, and nobody wants to see Miz as Mr. Money in the Bank again. This is not 2011, right? So I expect Otis to win. They'll probably have Tucker in his quarter because it's a pay-per-view, which both brands can appear on. So they'll probably have Tucker in his quarter. What's going to be interesting to see if after this, they still try to find ways to have Tucker and Otis on the same brand. Watch. I'm telling you, Tucker's probably going to get traded back to SmackDown. The guy's not going to survive on his own without Otis. He's not. And I still don't even understand why they put him on separate brands. Still, man. Imagine, put Otis and Tucker in that tag team division with the Street Profits, right? And Cesaro Nakamura and Rude and Ziggler. You would actually have a decent tag team division. Way better than what we've had most of the year. But anyway, we had Murphy versus Rollins next. Disciple versus Messiah. Buddy Murphy now, he is babyface. And Rollins gave a quick interview before the match where he talked about, how he would have fun beating up Murphy. And basically, this was good. Murphy and Rollins, they're two of the best on the entire roster. Remember, Murphy had like a one of the best TV matches last year with Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan on separate weeks. Murphy, people forget how good Buddy Murphy actually is, but this was a really good match. Throughout the entire match, Rollins was trying to get through Murphy's thick skull. It's not too late. You can come back to me, but you have to understand that I'm the Messiah. I call the shots here, and you are the disciple. You are my follower. All right, but I just got a nice little text message. Anyway, basically they tried to make this into a big deal. But anyway, Alea, and I've kind of liked her in this actress role. Alea tried to get Ray and Dom to help Murphy, Murphy out, but Ray and Dom are like, no, this is none of our business, but this is between them. But Alea's like, if you're not gonna help them, I'm gonna go help him. So basically, Ron's won the match with a stop. No surprise there. But she came out as Ron's was brutalizing Murphy with kendo shots, and then she went to the ring to plead with the Messiah to stop. And then Dom came out and Rollins took him out from behind. Then Ray came in with a chair to make the save, and Rollins dipped. So Alea and Buddy, they were like, consoling one another. I don't know. I guess this is some romantic relationship. The way they were holding each other, it looks like that, right? I like Alea. She's very pretty, very beautiful lady, you know, and she kind of messes well with Murphy. This is clearly not over, right? We'll have to wait and see if this Rollins and Murphy storyline continues. I still believe Murphy's going to be the one to eventually end this because Rollins will be taking a break from WWE in a couple weeks. We don't know when, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen because, of course, uh, everything that's going on with Becky's pregnancy. We are about a month and a half away till Becky's, baby's due. Yeah. And the thing is, we haven't seen any photos of Becky. I know she was at SmackDown last week for the season premiere, but there's no photos of her. It was just leaked that she was there backstage. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do with her. I mean, not with her, with Seth. How are they going to write Seth off TV? Will Leia have something to do with it? Will it be Murphy? Will it be Ray? Will it be Dominic? This is clearly going to have some kind of wrap up here. And maybe not at Hell in a Cell, maybe at Survivor Series, right? But we'll just have to wait and see because there's no match announced yet. I thought they were going to end this at Hell in a Cell, but they didn't announce this. They could easily announce a match for Hell in a Cell like today or tomorrow, but we'll just have to wait and see. But I didn't mind this at all. I just really want this to reach an end, to reach a conclusion. All right. Anyway, we had Roman Reigns ending the show, naming his stipulation. So the tribal chief came out and he was going to reveal the consequences. Jimmy Uso appeared in Reigns' special suite backstage. Reigns actually does have a special suite because Reigns, he tries not to interact with too much of the superstars, not because he doesn't like them, but he's trying to keep himself safe and healthy. Because we've heard Roman just wants to do his business, right? Shower and then leave and get back to his family because he doesn't want to take any risks of bringing COVID or any diseases home. So I have to applaud Roman. I don't see that as selfish. If Roman wants to keep himself safe, right, when we're in the middle of a pandemic, by staying away from the superstars, by staying in his bus or his special suite, like I have no problem with that. No problem. All right, but backstage, before Roman could say anything, we saw one of the Usos, and I knew it was Jimmy right away, but Jimmy was wearing a mask and a hat to, hide his identity. And basically, this was basically a setup for Jey Uso, the one that should be facing Roman this Sunday, to attack Reigns from behind. Jey had a chair, but Roman then kicked him in the face. But then Jey fired back with a super kick and then hit a superfly splash. So Jimmy joined his brother on the stage to celebrate, them getting over on the tribal chief. Roman quickly recovered, of course, being that tribal chief heel, right? Like nothing's gonna keep me down. He got a mic and he got a really good promo. He told Jey that, if he loses on Sunday, he loses the Universal Championship. He's no longer the tribal chief. But at the end of the day, he can live with that, right? But Roman said that if Jey loses on Sunday, the Usos will have to not only acknowledge him as the tribal chief, but fall in line, right? So most likely that means they will have to join Roman. And we've heard rumors that they want to do a, tribal chief faction with Roman and the Usos. And I think that's where we're heading. Because Jimmy will be back in January. He'll be fully healed. And you could tell he was walking on the stage tonight. He's looking better. So he should be back in 2-3 months, ready to get back and compete. So not only so basically if Jey loses, they have to join Roman, right? They have to join him. So that would be setting up the tribal chief faction. They have to acknowledge him. And if they refuse to do that, then they are both out of the family. They're not out of WWE, but they're out of the Anoli family, right? So this is just for storyline. This is not real life, but this is all storyline here. But the story is great. I'm loving this. So basically, everything's on the line for Jey on Sunday. For Roman, if he loses, he just loses the Universal Championship, and he's no longer the tribal chief, right? But for Jey, everything is on the line for him. He could potentially lose his family if that happens. If he says I quit and then refuses to acknowledge Roman. I loved also how then Jey walked back down the ring and he's like, "Who is you? Who says you get to make that decision?" And then the cell came down, the red hell in the cell came down, and then Jey starts climbing the cage, and he's staring down Roman from like halfway up the cage. I loved it. The visual looked great, and overall, this was a fantastic segment and a fantastic way to build hype and lead us into Hell in a Cell. The main event for Hell in a Cell should be SASHA and BAYLEY. They deserve it. It's going to be big for the women's division. It's going to be big for SmackDown. It's going to be big for SASHA. It's going to be big for BAYLEY, right? But, Roman versus Jey, their match, this whole I Quit storyline and everything that's coming with it, I'm loving it as well. I hope SASHA and BAYLEY is the main event, but I would not be surprised if, Roman and Jey get that main event slot. I would open the show with Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. Then in the middle of the show, I would do Roman versus Jey. And in the main event, I would have SASHA versus BAYLEY, right? But this was fantastic. Fantastic. I loved how they had the Usos use twin magic. This is something they used to do with the Bellas all the time, but they did it here with the Usos, and it worked to perfection. I love this. And I cannot wait for this match. It's going to be interesting. Will Jey actually say I quit? Right? Because it's hard. I don't know if I don't know if I can see Jey as a babyface saying I quit. It's normally an I quit match. It's for the babyface to win and for the heel to say I quit. But it's gonna be interesting, and I am excited to see where this goes on Sunday, man. But all in all, this was a great SmackDown show. I really enjoyed it. Right, one of the best SmackDowns of the year, and it did its job. If Hell in a Cell is a really good pay-per-view, it's gonna be because of SmackDown. not because of Raw. It's going to be because of Roman Reigns and Jey Uso and Sasha Banks and Bayley, mainly. And we'll see if there's any other matches. But the majority of Hell in a Cell is SmackDown matches. So I cannot wait. I'm excited. It's going to be a big weekend. And SmackDown did a really good job of making this a good show. Hopefully they can continue this momentum going forward because they are so much better than Raw right now. Right? I don't know if the ratings are gonna show how good SmackDown was last night, but we'll just have to wait and see. But other than that, guys, that's all I got for you guys today, man. Thank you guys so much for joining me right here on the Legit Shoot Podcast. If you guys haven't already, hit that like button, show some support so we can push that video into the YouTube algorithm and educate more casuals on WWE. Also, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. Hit the bell next to my name next to Fitzmonk TV so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. Other than that, guys, make sure to go check out my Hell in a Cell preview and predictions if you haven't seen those already. Also, guys, make sure to be here for the Hell in a Cell live stream. We'll be doing a reaction, right? Watch along, whatever you want to call it. And right after Hell in a Cell goes off the air, we will be going live with the Hell in a Cell review right here on the podcast. Thank you for everything, guys. Stay safe and healthy. Peace.